As the most handsome bald man on the entire internet, his skills might not be the strongest, but his eye for picking women is absolutely first class. To become his woman, you not only need a hot body, the key is you also have to know how to flirt. Most importantly, you must always be mentally prepared to be a punching bag. With such strict conditions, for former supermodel Mia, she thought it would be a sure thing. But unexpectedly, the two eventually lost to the realities of daily life. Just like that, the self-proclaimed playboy of a lifetime, Duke, was ruthlessly kicked out. This scene was accidentally witnessed by Uncle Rock, who was passing by. As best friends for many years, Uncle Rock was temporarily stuck between a rock and a hard place. Fortunately, Duke opened the door in time and successfully resolved the embarrassment. Facing his best friend's ruthless mockery, Duke instantly exploded. The two went back and forth, starting to insult each other's mothers. This made Mia, who was originally still a participant, so angry she was fuming. After one classic swear word, she slammed the door shut with a bang, leaving the two brothers standing awkwardly in the wind. Afterward, the depressed duo met at a bar. During casual chat, they learned that Uncle Rock's precious ring had been lost there. The previously listless Duke instantly came back to full life. While crazily mocking Uncle Rock, he also volunteered to reclaim the trophy for him. But when the two armies truly faced off, looking at the huge size difference in front of him, Duke couldn't help feeling a little doubtful. But once the big talk was out, he could only grit his teeth and force himself into it. It has to be said that the director was quite considerate. To take care of Duke's face, a bunch of extras would block every punch and fall at every low kick. Duke finally got to experience what One Punch Man felt like. Unexpectedly, just when he was feeling proud of himself, one extra didn't follow the script and randomly added his own scenes. Uncle Rock, watching from the side, really couldn't stand it anymore. He raised his hand and fired a shot, then followed with a rock-style back throw, teaching the other guy how to behave in minutes. In the end, Uncle Rock got his trophy back as wished, and Duke also successfully walked out of the shadow of being dumped. After the interlude, the story officially entered the main theme. It turned out Uncle Rock didn't come this time just to drink. Not long ago, a terrorist camp in Libya was massacred. Originally, the terrorists held weapons and stayed alert at all times. Even so, the guards at the door were still silently shot dead. A group of unknown armed men, backed by planes and heavy artillery, advanced like they had activated cheats, shooting everyone they saw and killing everyone they met. The armed men hurriedly called in tanks for backup, but the strength gap between both sides was too big. Even the so-called king of the land, the tank, could only die in regret on the spot. The other side still wasn't satisfied and even called in drones from the air for long-range support. The terrorist's fate was predictable. In the end, even with many death warriors desperately protecting him, the leader still couldn't escape death. As a terrorist, his death was not worth pitying, but the doomsday nuclear weapon in his hands also disappeared along with his death. Anyone knows that once this ultimate weapon leaks out, human society will face the ultimate nightmare. Because of this, Uncle Rock, as the world's policeman, had no choice but to accept the mission in a time of crisis. Just like that, the long-silent Suicide Squad gathered again under Uncle Rock's call. For the fate of the human community, a group of old soldiers had to step onto the journey once more. Can you believe that the Uncle Rock who once dominated the screen for decades actually got shot down this time? Yes, you read that right. It was that generation's hero who once arrogantly said, "In the formation you dominate, in the mountains I am king." This time he really died. When Duke arrived, the scene was already a complete mess, with only Uncle Rock's middle finger still standing proudly upright. The story has to start from not long ago. Uncle Rock and the others accepted the mission in a time of crisis, and the Suicide Squad gathered again. Accompanied by the roar of the plane, a group of ageless legends once again set off on their journey. Unfortunately, good times didn't last long. As soon as the group charged into the battlefield, they received a warm welcome from the other side. Fortunately, Uncle Rock stayed calm in the crisis, decisively activated infrared jamming, and successfully intercepted the incoming artillery. Then he forced the plane into the battlefield. Duke and the others split into two routes, one led by Sniper Drake providing long-range support, the other by Duke and the others launching a frontal assault. Uncle Rock still piloted the fighter jet providing fire support from the air. On this side, Jake, who had completed the objective, was about to lead the team to withdraw. Unexpectedly, just as they were about to leave, Duke's team arrived in time. First, Drake from not far away opened fire, but due to withdrawal symptoms from long-term quitting drinking, 2 consecutive shots both missed. Fortunately, although he failed to kill Jake on the spot, it still made him cautious and forced him to change his route. Seeing this, Duke decisively split his forces, but the start was unfavorable. Not long after advancing, they lost the heavy artillery. Facing the other side's crazy shooting, Duke could only use his unique secret technique, precisely jamming the opponent's vital point with one knife. Then with a small jump he landed on the opponent's vehicle and solved the blocking little devil with one knife. On the other side, the teammates profoundly interpreted for the audience, "What is a wild man's dream?" The earth trembled in anger. What the fuck is he? Originally the situation was once very good, but Terry and the others underestimated the enemy too much. Right after leaving the warehouse, they were directly flipped by the other side head-on. Although everyone joined forces and successfully shot the opponent dead, they also lost the chance to pursue. Now only Duke was left struggling alone. Without the heavy artillery, relying only on a handgun, he simply couldn't break through the opponent's defense. Fortunately, the distance between both sides was too close, so Jake also didn't have many ways to deal with him. Just as both sides were still in a stalemate, Uncle Rock in the air was unexpectedly shot due to a moment of carelessness. Although there was temporarily no threat to his life, his condition seriously affected Duke's mentality. In the end, for the safety of his friend, he resolutely disobeyed orders on the battlefield, decisively abandoned the target, and raced toward the anti-aircraft artillery. Originally he thought he could save his friend's life, but unexpectedly Jake, who successfully escaped, still delivered a big gift at the moment of parting. This shot became the last straw that crushed Uncle Rock. Accompanied by soaring flames, the out-of-control fighter jet was like a falling eagle, crashing straight into the ground. When Duke arrived, the scene was already a complete mess. Teammates arrived one after another. No one had had expected beforehand that a generation's legend would fall in this way. In the Suicide Squad that had lost its soul, where would they go from now on? Pay attention, that crazy man from before is back again. At the last moment of his life, he did not choose Titanic-style love but instead chose to live forever in the flames of war. Things were never supposed to progress like this. Not long ago, although Duke was kicked out of the official team for disobeying orders on the battlefield, the remaining members were still elite soldiers. Moreover, the Americans in the rear were providing intelligence support. For this operation, the superiors even personally joined the combat team to ensure nothing went wrong. Under Mia's lead, everyone fully armed themselves and quietly advanced into Jake's lair under the cover of night. But without Uncle Rock, they clearly lacked organization. At the first encounter, they unfortunately became hostages. Fortunately, Duke had prepared early. Before parting, he had placed a positioning device in his girlfriend's dagger in advance. While everyone was lining up to deliver heads, he wasn't idle either. First, he found an Indian guy to act as a helper. Then he drove a small boat and followed his girlfriend from behind. Just when everyone was at a loss, Duke had already driven the boat to their rear. Unfortunately, the start was bad. As soon as he entered the cabin door, he was discovered by the enemy. Fortunately, Duke was extremely clever and successfully turned the danger into safety. All the way he cut through thorns and obstacles, passing levels and defeating generals. As expected, the unexpected soon arrived. At the critical moment, the Indian guy arrived in time. Don't look at the Indian brother as usually a comedian. His skills were quite impressive. The two advanced hand in hand and quickly carved out a bloody path. At this time, the imprisoned teammates on the other side also found an escape passage. Everyone vowed to kill everything in all directions, but unfortunately ideals were full while reality was skinny. As soon as everyone went out the door, they were disarmed by the other side again. At the critical moment, it was again Duke who arrived in time. At this point, the Suicide Squad finally completed a true assembly. But soon another difficult problem was placed in front of everyone. After careful inspection by the teammates, the nuclear bomb in front of them simply could not be dismantled. With no choice, everyone could only split up and act separately. On one side, the teammates opened full firepower, fully suppressing the opponent's pursuit and interception. On the other side, Duke personally stepped up and faced Jake alone. One was a suited thug, the other a handsome flying dragon. A great battle was about to break out, but because both were skilled fighters, for a while they fought to a standstill. Fortunately, Duke's skills were superior. With knife and axe together, one axe sent him to an early wrap. Accompanied by Jake's death, the true mystery also surfaced. It turned out the mastermind behind the scenes was actually the superior who had always been hidden on their own side. Thinking of his friend's tragic death, Duke burned with rage. He lifted the rocket launcher ready to send the other guy to the afterlife. Unfortunately, his aim was really too poor. The frightened superior became angry out of shame. He directly casually threw the nuclear bomb switch into the sea. Now it was great, no one got to play anymore. Although the Suicide Squad claimed to dare to die, at the critical moment everyone still chose to live on. Everyone provided covering fire for each other and began an orderly withdrawal. However, at the last moment, Duke chose to stay. To avenge his friend, he decisively abandoned any hope of survival. Unfortunately, two fists cannot fight four hands. He soon ran out of ammunition and supplies. Just when he had accepted his fate, countless missiles flew over from the sky. This old fox of a superior, seeing the opponent's reinforcements had arrived and knowing the situation was irreversible, finally toughened up once and shouted that he wanted a final showdown with Duke. Duke of course couldn't ask for more, but the old fox was still the old fox after all. Duke was dumbfounded this time. Fortunately, the director didn't let him be happy for too long. Looking at Uncle Rock not far away, 10,000 grass mud horses whistled past in front of Duke's eyes. It turned out all of this was deliberately arranged by Uncle Rock, the purpose being to draw out the superior. And the one who died in place of Uncle Rock not long ago was the unlucky substitute he had prepared in advance. At this point, the Suicide Squad series also welcomed its final ending. Stallone also officially announced his farewell to the screen after this film. And whether the Duke who takes over from him can carry this big flag, let us wait and see together.